Hey guys and girls, and welcome to episode 14 of 31 Days of Hell. I wanted to try something new with yesterday's episode, hence this one. This might be episode 13 if episode 13 fails, but I'd preferably like this episode you're seeing today to be episode 14. So there you go. So today I'm going to be talking about true stories, true events that have happened to me. So I'm just going to start this off by saying, you guys, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to. If you think I'm crazy, fantastic. Okay, you don't have to believe me. These things didn't happen to you. But I have about 5 events that I want to go through that are things that have happened to me throughout my life. Okay. So I have, just to start this off, I have generalized anxiety disorder. I have panic disorder and depression. I do not have any kind of schizophrenia, just saying. The first event that I remember happening is when I was 5 years old, and it's one of the earliest memories I have. And I'm going to say this now. This is 100% true. This has happened to me. Call me crazy, and you don't have to believe me. That is your right. It is your right to believe or not believe me. However, this is 100% true, and I'm speaking from memory and what's actually happened to me. So the first memory of a scary event happening was when I was very young, about 5, like I said earlier. I remember having a dream of being in an open room that had about 4 recycling bins in it. 2 were black, 2 were green, like a glossy, plasticky kind of green. 5'5". I'm kind of tiny. Well, in my opinion. In comparison to most people, I'm still short. But back to the dream. I was looking at giraffes, elephants and hippos, and they were taking it in turns to chew me up and spit me out and put me into an open recycling bin. Open as in the lid of the bin was leaning up against the wall. It was like a room with no door here, just an open room with a roof. Very strange, like a recycling dump thing room with no... Yeah, it's weird. And they would chew me up and spit me out, and they did this for what felt like 30 minutes. I was 5 years old. My parents were living... I remember where they were living, and I remember waking up being on top of the clothes era. I was 5. Event number 2. Okay, so I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I was in primary school, and this was during what was known as after school club for children whose parents worked evenings. Everyone was in the canteen, and I was a child who always felt like a heaviness inside me, a depression. And I know a lot of you, or should I say 5 of you, as this series isn't doing very well, will probably not want to hear me say that, but it's true. So I was outside in the playground. All of my friends went inside to get food. Pasta, sandwiches, drinks, maybe some leftovers from breakfast club, you know. Yeah, some people like cereal in the evening, you know. So I was just thinking about school. I just looked over to my right, to the window. I was sitting in a wooden boat thing in the playground, because we had the infant side and the junior side. I was on the infant side of the playground in this wooden boat thing, and I was looking into the distance, and then I look over here. I see directly behind me, I see a small person about 5 foot, and they're red. I'm looking over here, I'm looking in the reflection, I see them over here, and I can see like a person in all red, head to toe, including their hair, screaming, yelling, and going like this, banging and screaming really, really loudly, and like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I saw that, and I saw them banging right behind me, and I felt it, and I felt the whole boat shake, and it was like this person was really angry at me for some reason, and then they just disappeared into thin air. Like, I don't know where they went. I don't know what happened, but that is what I saw and experienced. So there you go. They just disappeared without any explanation. This has always stuck with me since. And again, you don't have to believe me, but I saw this happen with my own eyes. And yeah, this was in primary school, and my primary school used to be a hospital, so maybe that's why. Okay, event number 3. I want to speed through these events because I have to sort something out ASAP. I was 10 years old, and it was around Easter time, and I know that because I'd either just come back from going to Benidorm, Spain, or I was just about to go there the next couple of days. I was in my room, and because I was going to go to Benidorm with my mum and paternal grandma on my father's side. And I used to sleep with the radio on as a kid and a night lamp because from the age of 6, I needed light and some sound to fall asleep. I still do, and I'm 21. So my mum used to come into my room about 9 p.m. to tuck me into bed. She would always turn the radio down too low and say, so that I could barely hear anything. But the second she left my room, you know that radio went back up again, right? So it must have been about 11 or half 11, because at those times I went to bed at baby's times. Yes, I think 11 p.m. is far too early to go to bed. However, I have 2 parents who go to bed at this time, one of which I don't understand because one of them isn't working. Back to the story. I went to turn down the radio, and so my bed is here, doors over here, bookcase, shelf. Radio was on the floor here. I'm seeing it in my mind's eye, metaphorically, or I'm visualizing it. I'm a visual person. So here in this area, but on the floor, there was a radio. I went to go turn it down, and I see what looks like a yellow figure, a yellow person. And after that, I just put my covers back on. I didn't turn the radio down that night because that figure, that thing, whatever it was, scared the shit out of me. So I didn't turn the radio down after that. That honestly scared me to the max. Now, event number 4. I have one more event, and I'm trying to be quick, but not too quick, because I have some matters to tend to. I was about 14, because I know I was in secondary school at the time this happened, and I was on my top bunk. I remember this very, very specifically from how much I was sweating from head to toe, and unable to move due to being paralysed by fear. So I was laying in bed trying to sleep, and I heard scraping on the metal parts of my bunk bed. Now, let me just say that a couple of weeks earlier, I had a friend that came round from school, an American girl whose name rhymes with Tablivia, and she made the exact same sounds with her glasses. Like, it was kind of like... a bit of ASMR for you. No, but it was kind of like that. And it was on my bunk bed, and I heard that noise 2 or 3 weeks after she obviously had been over to mine, and I didn't quite understand what it was, but I knew that I could hear my floorboards creaking. However, when I looked facing away from it over here, I saw no shadow, and I remember feeling very uncomfortable and sweating from head to toe, and I know I had an itch. I wanted to itch, but I did not itch it because I was so scared of even moving, you know? And I sensed no one in the room. I have very, very good senses. I'm a Scorpio, if you haven't noticed, if you haven't realised by now. But I heard the floorboards creaking like someone was walking around in my room, you know? At this point, I've learned to accept now in my life that I'm clairaudient. Clairaudient is when you hear things other people don't hear. I've learned to accept that now. I have a gift. It's a gift as well as a curse. I've just learned to accept that now. Okay, final event. This event has been continuously happening since 2013, and I have no control over it, unfortunately, and I don't know the direct causation of it. However, this is what it is. So if I lay on my back in my bed, I experience a vibrating sensation all over my body, and I feel like I'm being forced out of my body. I've resisted the temptation for years. The temptation? What? Didn't mean to say that. I resisted the sensation for years of my whole body vibrating, feeling like I'm coming out of my body. And over the last 1 to 2 years, I've now learned I'm experiencing both sleep paralysis and an out-of-body experience. And I get sleep paralysis, and then that induces an out-of-body experience. So in 2017, I was sleeping over at my mum's place. Yes, I'm a child of divorced parents. Anyway, let's not get into my personal life. I remember waking up in the middle of a nice dream. Normal thing for night people like me, night owls. And I remember being unable to move. I tried clearing my throat. Didn't work. I tried going... couldn't do that either. So I laid there hoping that this weird lack of bodily sensation would dissipate slowly. And motion, the motion I was feeling would soon pass. And then much to my surprise, I heard tapping like that. I heard tapping on my bed like somebody was waiting for something. And then all of a sudden I'm walking around in the middle of my room. Don't remember getting up, by the way. I am going into the bathroom, looking in the mirror. I can't see my reflection. Bit odd. I come back into my room and I go back into my bed, and then it's like the second I put my head down, I wake up and I snap out of this paralysis I was in. However, this happened again a year later when I had a similar experience take place here at my dad's place. I was sleeping on my side from the waist down, but from the torso up, I was on my back. I hope that makes sense. I then proceeded to open my eyes, as when I can't sleep, I need to be awake until I can sleep. So that just happened. So as that happened, I felt frozen and unable to move. Then just as I was able to move, I saw because I sleep with a pillow over my ear, and I sleep with, I sleep on my side, right? So, and sometimes half and half, my side, my back kind of thing. I do this twisty thing in my body like a worm, like a snake. And I saw a man. He looked like he was about 3 or 4 foot, very short, covered in blood from head to toe. Think about waking up in the morning and the first thing you see is a man covered in blood from head to toe. I saw a man, blood in his hair. He had thick hair. All of his hair particles were all grouped together. He had blood going from head to toe, and he just looked at me and smiled, and then slowly moved out of my vision. I was too tired to emotionally process what had just happened, but I knew that made me uncomfortable. And to do with the pillow thing, there is one more thing that's happened to me since I was 8 years old, and I have to sleep with a pillow over whichever ear is facing up as I sleep on my side. But I'm not going to get into why that is. However, what I'm going to say is this concludes episode 14, hopefully, of 31 days of hell. True stories of events that have happened to me.